what does awakening actually feel like? Yeah, quite a juicy question. Well, I feel like when we ask this question, and I do hear this question occasionally, it's not really that people are asking that specifically. They are asking more, am I awakened? Or what should I be looking for? How can I know if I'm getting closer or if I'm heading in the right direction? And usually we imagine awakening to be really extraordinary. We perhaps imagine it to be this constant blissed out state, or that we will never experience any discomfort or emotions, turmoil, thoughts. Perhaps we imagine that all of our old conditioning, traumas, wounds will just magically disappear, and we'll just be kind of skipping off into the sunset somehow. Yeah, and you know, when we imagine this, we of course are looking for some kind of escape from our reality, because perhaps our reality is uncomfortable. Perhaps our very ordinary reality is nothing special even. And so we're looking for something extraordinary, something that takes us out of our mundane human life into some kind of extraordinary state that then we can say, this is it, I've got it. And of course, awakening can include all kinds of amazing states and experiences. People do have experiences of bliss and big expansive states, and there are experiences of not much thought or no thought, and a kind of distance from emotions or turmoil or discomfort that can happen for a while until that changes. And what happens for many people is that you might at first have an experience of recognition where you realize that your true nature is not limited to who you thought you were. So it's not limited to this small me, this small story of me, and therefore a kind of contracted state in the body. We might have a realization, recognition that I am not my thoughts, I am unlimited. And this story of me is like the bubble is burst. And at first, this experience, or this realization, can provoke some kind of experience of, wow, like a big contrast to the previous state of contraction. So in contrast to that contraction, realizing that I'm not so limited as I believed in can feel very expansive. And for a while, we do seem to skip off into the sunset until something happens to bring us down to the ground again. Whether it is thoughts returning, telling some old story, something happens in our lives, something changes, some kind of tragedy or problem to deal with, a survival issue, and then suddenly we're back where we seemingly started, and our thoughts are telling those me stories in a way that can seem even worse than before, and even more painful sensations are felt, a kind of sense of contraction, that it feels even more contracted than what we remember before. And I would say that this is also a kind of contrast that we feel. We've had this experience of expansiveness, and then the thinking creates this story, and then there's the tension, the contraction. It can feel worse because we are comparing it to the previous state of expansion. And so then we often get into this kind of misunderstanding that we think that we need to get back there into this expansive state again, that perhaps we've done something wrong, we've forgotten, we've missed something, we're lacking something because we've contracted, and so we need to get back to this expansive state. And maybe we try all kind of practices, or we try to recreate the initial situation that seemed to cause the initial recognition, and perhaps it works temporarily, and perhaps you do have another expansive experience, perhaps not. And even if you do, that experience will be temporary again. And if you don't, you'll be again waiting for that experience, thinking that you still haven't got it yet, and comparing your present experience to that experience of expansiveness. And some people live like that for years. I've met people who have had an experience of recognition and that expansive state years ago, and they're still waiting to get back there, or trying to get back there. And this is quite a hellish state to be in, because nothing in your ordinary human life can seemingly compare to that beautiful expansive state in your memory. So what is actual awakening? Well, I would say it's not any kind of state. And at first, to really appreciate what I'm saying here, it can seem quite disappointing, because we are hoping for a state, and maybe we had a state and we want to get back there, and we just can't accept that it is not any kind of state at all. It's not any kind of experience at all. In fact, awakening can feel like anything. Awakening is about meeting the present experience just the way it is. Knowing that I am not what thoughts say I am. I'm not this limited me story. I'm not located in here. There is no reference point. And in fact, I am aware of every experience or every state as it comes and goes. And so when we first start to recognize this, even if we don't have these beautiful, blissful states, it might start to feel quite disorientating as we lose more and more of who we thought we were, the beliefs about our lives, about life itself, about what the point of it all is, or the ground that we believed was safe and secure and certain starts to feel very shaky, because we are no longer believing everything that thought says. We no longer have a very fixed reference point of me, and therefore to navigate in life becomes more and more challenging as we shift out of this previous way of navigating from me and my life and where I want to go and what I want to do, or how life affects me. as we see through these kinds of thoughts and this story of me, life keeps unfolding, life keeps happening. Often very ordinary life goes on. And yet the focus, the focal point, or the reference point is no longer this small me. Even if you might still have thoughts or tell a story of me in your mind sometimes, or to other people, maybe there are even old conditioning patterns, traumas, wounds that are still playing out as if they are happening to me. And yet, when you recognize that you are that awareness of it all, then even when those stories of me come up, you can see that they are just simply thoughts arising, thoughts and sensations, emotions, or whatever is here, arising in the awareness that I am. And from there, everything is welcome, no matter what. It doesn't have to be only beautiful, spiritual, expansive states. Of course, we love those states, but awakening actually includes all states, everything that is here. And actually we start to see that we have no control over what kind of states or experiences are here. Everything is coming and going in who we are. And we are simply aware, watching the show of this person and her life, and at the same time fully in this person's life, fully engaging in daily life, feeling it all. Nothing is denied or avoided or escaped from. We see actually that there is no escape, because it's all happening in who I am. Where would I go? And so then we can start to feel more. We become more sensitive, simply because there's less resistance. There's less of these stories of me that put boundaries to protect me, right? So then there's more feeling. And it might be even that it's more uncomfortable feelings as we start to lift this layer of protection that has protected us against feeling discomfort or pain or fear. We have to inevitably start to feel those feelings. So at first it can feel quite uncomfortable, quite disorientating, uncomfortable. We don't know how to navigate. And yet, in staying with whatever arises as it does, knowing that it doesn't ever mean anything about who I am, because I'm not this small me, I'm always awareness of it all, then as whatever arises is felt, we can just be with it, and we may start to notice in the gaps in between whatever comes up that there is perhaps some kind of other kind of knowing or sense of what is true, what is right, not from our thinking, not from any concepts or beliefs. Comes out of not knowing in the mind, and we start to slowly discover that there is a different way of moving or navigating in the world, a different kind of motivation, not from the small me, but from life itself, a surrender to life itself, surrendering my whole the small me's whole life into the hands of life itself. And then let's see, how does life want to move this human? How does life want to express itself using this human? This expression in words or actions or feelings, sensations, breath, interactions, environment, whatever it is, how does life want to use me? And this is what awakening is like, when we are surrendering our whole lives to life itself. There is no longer this small me that is holding on to any kind of control. Even if there might even be that story of I want to control, we can see it's just a joke, really. It's a joke arising in absolute surrender.